So welcome back guys, another review from me, and this time it's another first impressions video. I'm doing it for Steeldive 62 Mass Homage, and I must say it's been worth the wait because they're a little bit behind the San Martins of this world who've done one of their own 62 Mass Homages, but they're quite a lot more money than this Steeldive. This Steeldive is about £150, and that's not including the extra little £5 off you can get if you use my name with steeldiveuk.com. who kindly lent me this watch to review and share my thoughts with you guys. So this is the first part, this is the first impressions, and I will definitely go into a little bit more detail when I've had more time with the watch in the next week. So I hope you enjoyed this first impressions. Let me know what you think, guys. I'm sure a lot of you are going to definitely share your opinions, and I love to hear about them, so do share. So in the meantime, let's get on with this review. Welcome guys, really excited to show you this watch because I've heard good things about this watch, and this is the 62 Mass Homage by Steeldive. Now, all you watch fans know about the Steeldive, they effectively offer even better value alternatives to San Martin or San Martin, however you want to say it. So what you get in the case is the usual with this one, a international warranty, but check out steeldiveuk.com's website. They do offer a few extra little bits to give you a bit of peace of mind, so do check them out on their website. I'll just pop that up there, and I'll leave a link in the description as well. Now, my arrangement with Steeldive is they very kindly lend me these watches, and every few reviews now I get to kindly keep one. So I've got a really nice relationship with Steeldive, and it keeps it honest because I'm not told what to review and I'm not told what to say, and I am as honest as I can be because I'm quite lucky with these watches that they generally are very, very good. I don't have to have a rant. If you like rant videos, go and check out my Timex video and you get to see why a brand like Timex, even though they're very popular and people think about them all the time, they really don't offer good value for money. Whereas these Steeldives, for example, they really do. So, wow, look at this. This watch is about £150. And if you use my code here, you can get £5 off. You put that code in the checkout. Do use it, guys, because it costs me nothing and it effectively is saving you another £5 off any Steeldive watch. So, yeah, use that. And it's a great little perk to have on top of these watches. Now, in my full review, I'll go into a little bit more detail behind the design history behind the 62 Mass. But Seiko never did a re-release. They never made this kind of model, and if they did, they could have charged a fortune for it. They really could have, and knowing Seiko pricing, they would have. This is just an initial impressions video, so you can get a real first taster of what this really is like up close. And the first thing that you're going to notice really pop in here is that gorgeous, that is sapphire crystal, but it's domed, and it's got AR coating as well, Swiss grade AR coating. That's just fantastic. It's just mesmerizing to see that kind of quality sapphire on a watch at this price. It really adds to, obviously it's going to add to the thickness, but it's all proportional to the case shape, I think. So that's the first thing you're going to notice. And then you've got really good lume on the indices, the hands, and on the ceramic bezel. So you've got ceramic, sapphire crystal. It's not been ISO rated or tested. That's the one initial bugbear that's on the dial. It says water 200 proof. It's kind of pointless saying that because 200 meters proof, it's not actually rated to 200 meters. It's just what they put on the dials now of watches. And I just think they need to sort of address that. It has been mentioned on other channels, and I would agree that the ratings they put on watches, dive watches, it gives the wrong impression if it's a dive watch or not. And this watch, I would strongly have confidence that it'd be fine for most recreational use you're going to put it through. But it's kind of a pointless thing to put on the dial. They could have put something else. What do you think they should have put on there, guys? Because I can always feedback suggestions because it does help. Because I think the overall design of the dial is very good. It's very neat. All the alignment of all the indices looks really good. It's very neat. All lines up. There's no fluff or dust under the dial. These are all the little attention to detail things that I personally really like, and I think are really impressive at this price point. You get a signed crown. There you go, Steeldive logo on there. You actually get drilled lugs, which is really good for quick strap changes. And by that it means it's the other end of the tool, you can poke in there and it's a lot quicker and easier to push in and release the spring bar, and the strap pops out. The strap's okay, it's the usual Steeldive rubber, but I'm glad they're sticking more with rubber because it's more appropriate for a dive watch, and they're working on the quality of their steel straps. So in the meantime, I think this is an appropriate design for this type of watch. So that's a thumbs up from me, I think. High polish on the sides, very nice, decent smooth polishing. Detailed case back. I do like that they put the extra design on there. I know San Martin's, they can often be quite plain on the back. It's just nice to have that little bit of extra detail, and the same on the crown. Some people will criticise the logo, but I think the name and the logo is better than other brands out there from China. I think it's interesting, and I think it works. It's not too imposing. Now let's get on to some more tactile things. So a lot of things that you're going to check out on a watch like this would be, how good does the bezel feel on the crown action? So the bezel action is actually extremely good. It's 120 click. It's smooth and consistent. Not too light, not too heavy. It's the more refined of all the Steeldive bezels I've used. It feels the most honed and most lubricated. It just feels like it's got some lubricant in there, because a lot of the bezels I've had, just a bit of lube in the bezel helps loosen it up a bit, and makes it just feel smoother. This feels good, so that's a positive. Now the crown, it's an NH35 Seiko movement in here, so what you get is hacking, hand winding, and a date complication. So unscrewing actions feels really nice. I think it's about a 7mm crown. I'll show that you when I do the measurements, but again, with all NH35s, you have a smooth hand winding function, and the next click out is very positive, and you rotate it for the date, and the last click is for the time. These hands are really nice. Nice finishing on there. A really good length. I mean, look at the length of the minute hand. Comes right out and it lines up where it should, as you can see, on the indice. So that's a good length. And then look at the hour hand. It lines up really well with the bottom edge of the indice. So it's really good proportionally. I'd say the seconds hand's a bit out. If you look at where the square pip is on the end, I can push that in and see it ticking again. It kind of nothing lines up with that seconds hand. It either should have been a bit shorter or a bit longer. But that's me just being really picky. But I think that the attention to detail with everything else is good. As you can see, it all lines up really nice. And I will show you the loom as well today, my first impressions. So positive so far. The fit and finish feels extremely good. This definitely feels like they've upped their game even more. The brushing on the uppercase, circular brushing around in that sort of pattern, that feels really good. Like I said, with the polishing, that's very smooth. Doesn't look like they've missed any bits. I like that it has drilled lugs, that's good. There's something I did notice with the crown, which is it unscrews really nicely and screws in very nicely, but when it's fully out, there's quite a lot of wobble. That is pretty normal, I think. And because of the nature of this design, it doesn't have crown guards, but I wouldn't worry about that because this is a vintage style watch. I would have liked this on maybe a waffle or a tropic style strap. I think if they could work on their own Steeldive version of one of those types of straps, considering the amount of Seiko homages they do, they'd be onto a winner with those, because waffle and tropic straps were all the rave for watches of the 60s and the 70s, which a lot of these homages have come from. So I think that would be a good upgrade if they could think about that. Now, I'm going to show you the weights and the dimensions. So it's not that heavy. Bear in mind, it is on a rubber strap. It's still over 100 grams. So that is, imagine this on a steel bracelet. It would probably be over the 150, which is kind of a sweet spot. Case size is 41. That's good. It's quite thick. I'd say that's pretty thick, 15 mil. But that is probably because of that crystal. So if we could do a measurement to measure excluding the crystal, it's about 13. So you're adding about 2 mil depth thickness due to that lovely crystal. So I think it's worth it. Then the lug to lug is about 50. So the proportions are decent, you know. And then you've got the crown, which is a nice size. Yeah, it's just under 7 as I thought. So it doesn't feel too heavy. It doesn't feel too big, but I haven't got this on wrist yet. So that's the last few bits I'm going to do is get it on wrist. And then I'm going to show you the loom. And that'll be the conclusion of just my first impressions really, guys. Now, I have a 7-inch wrist, which for anyone who's watched my videos before knows that is pretty average. And it gives you an idea, if you see it on my wrist, how it may fit on yours. And excuse, I've still got the tag on there, but we're almost halfway with, or probably, yeah, almost halfway with regards to the adjustment. So you can go quite a bit larger and quite a bit smaller than a 7-inch wrist. I reckon you go up to 8.5 down to 6.5. That's good. There's plenty of scope on this rubber strap that they give it to you with, and it just feels really comfortable. It's got a nice curving of the lugs, contours to the wrist really well. Really like that. So now I'm going to show you a quick outdoor shot and some loom, and we'll conclude there. Yeah, it looks so good in the light. Look at that crystal. You could buy this just for looking and enjoying that crystal and how it catches the light. So lovely. Very nice. But then you could also buy it because you really like loom like me. Look at that loom. And it distorts with the crystal as well. So to conclude, my first impressions are I was very impressed with this, and I'm being truthful and I'm being unbiased because I've not seen a San Martin to compare it with. But I'm thinking the price difference, San Martin would have to really offer a lot more to justify the extra 40 to 50 pounds that they would charge for a watch which is so similar to this. Everything that I've looked at and touched on this watch feels really well done, and I would struggle to be too critical at this price point. So I would really recommend you check this out on their website. But I'm going to go into a lot more detail when I've had this for a few days, got to look at it in more natural light, got to play with it some more, see if anything crops up, which I doubt, and I'll share my findings with you and discuss a little bit more information about the origins of the 62 mass and why Seiko really missed a trick on not doing their own version of this watch. And if they did, they probably still wouldn't have done it as good as this, because they still refuse to use sapphire and ceramic. And sometimes they don't even bother putting in a movement with hacking. So they've missed a trick again, because these guys have done something which is a really faithful homage to an original classic from years ago. And this is a beautiful watch. So if you've enjoyed this first impressions video, check out all my others. And in the meantime, stay poised, ready for another video. Bye for now.